Hello and welcome to today's webinar, How to Effectively Backup Critical Databases Across Hybrid and Cloud Environments. This event is brought to you in partnership with Druva and produced by Actual Tech Media. Thanks so much for joining us on the webinar today. We've got a really fascinating presentation lined up for you today, and you'll learn all about the Druva cloud-based backup solution that I know can help so many companies out there who are dealing with this challenge, trying to protect critical databases, no matter where those databases are running, which today databases are running in a lot of different places, on-prem, public cloud, hybrid cloud, just all over the place, and it's our job to protect that data. So before we jump into it, just a few things that you should know about the webinar today. My name is David Davis of Actual Tech Media, and I'll be serving as the moderator. As always, we want this to be an educational event here at Actual Tech Media. We want your questions. We know how tough it can be out there in the world of enterprise IT, and we want to help you to solve your challenges. So keep those questions coming. We've got a best question prize as well to help shake loose some of those questions, if you will. I'll talk about that in just a moment, but we'll be doing a dedicated Q&A session at the end of the presentation today, so keep those questions coming throughout the presentation. We also have a number of resources there in the Handouts tab. We've got 3 different PDFs that you can download. There is the PDF on Druva for Microsoft SQL Server. There's the DBAs Guide to Oracle Data Protection. And there's a really fascinating ESG white paper that's entitled How to Enhance AWS Workload Protection with Third-Party Cloud Backup Solutions. So make sure that you check those resources out. And of course, there's also a link to druva.com. At the end of the webinar today, I'll be announcing the winner of our Amazon $300 gift card prize. You must be live in attendance to qualify for the drawing, and of course meet the other Actual Tech Media prize terms and conditions that you can find there in the Handouts tab. And then, as I mentioned, we've got our best question prize as well for a $50 Amazon gift card. In addition to our $300 Amazon gift card, we'll select the prize winner for the best question prize after the event, and you also must meet the Actual Tech Media prize policy. So with that, it's now time to introduce you to today's expert presenter. I'm excited now to bring on Mr. Stephen Duff, Principal Product Marketing Manager at Druva. Stephen, it's great to have you on. Take it away.
Hello, and thanks for joining us today for our session on how to effectively back up critical databases across hybrid and cloud environments. My name is Stephen Duff, and I'm the Principal Product Marketing Manager here at Druva. So let's jump straight in and take a look at the market landscape for databases. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of perspective on the database market, it's a big space. It's a $55 billion market. It's what they call the database management systems market. And this includes quite a lot, but essentially it's continuing to grow pretty quickly. And a lot of that is down to the growth of cloud services and people who are moving databases to the cloud. So Oracle has the #1 share in the market at 31%, and SQL come in at #2 at around 23%. And then finally, the market has seen us having 2 kinds of pieces. So this includes the traditional database market, which is still big and growing. And even though the non-relational percentage is much smaller, it's a rapidly growing space with things like Redis, MongoDB, and DynamoDB on AWS as well. But today in this session, we're going to focus on Oracle, SQL, and some of the AWS database offerings. So basically, database management is becoming more and more challenging, and there's various reasons for this. But if you're responsible for selecting a new database management system product for your business, the sheer number of options that are out there now can be quite daunting. In the last few years, we've seen that the data volumes have grown substantially, and the way that we use data has changed as well. And because of this is now why many organizations are looking to the cloud for the flexibility that's offered there. So when we talk about cloud data protection, it completely disrupts the preconceived notions of data protection. And what it does is it empowers users with what we like to see as 4 major capabilities. So the first one is that they can focus 100% on the data and not on infrastructure. So not only does it ensure that data remains an asset and not a liability, cloud data protection actually provides the means to manage that asset and removes the burden of infrastructure. The second point here is that you can achieve massive economies of scale, which can help cope with the growth of data volume and the value of that data. So organizations now have an affordable way to protect data without having to make that very difficult choice on the volume of data that has to be protected or the levels of protection that will apply to the data. And then you want to be able to protect data wherever it is. So with the digital transformation that's sort of changing the way we live, work and consume, due to the pandemic, it's forced us to remain connected, but from a distance. And it's a fact of life now that organizations and their data they're more distributed. So you want to ensure that your data remains always safe, but always available wherever it's going to be served. And then the final point here is just to make sure that you can move ahead with confidence. So you want to have assurance that your data is and always will be resilient. So you want a solution that's going to evolve with the cloud as your organization continues to grow. So we're going to take a look now at some of the most common approaches to database backup. And firstly, we're going to look at the traditional database architecture. I'm not going to go into this in too much depth, but there's really 2 ways customers are protecting their databases. You know, one is an agent-based approach, and the other is what we call stage and sweep or dump and sweep. The benefits of agents is that obviously you can do things like query the database. You can integrate with other elements of the backup system. But for some of those reasons, the DBAs don't like agents. And sometimes because you have an agent in there, the perception can be that the DBA has lost control because the agents are essentially talking to the database and that's what's doing the activity. And then when we look at stage and sweep, it's typically the approach where you've got some scripts. So in this case, the DBA controls the backup. They run the scripts, they push the backups essentially to a target, and then they say, backup team, there you go ahead and back it up. And that's pretty much how it works. And what you see here on the right-hand side of your screen is the usual story which we tell, and we say, okay, great. Well, how do you then get that data offsite, and how do you keep this data for long periods of time? And then we have a look at the sort of lift and shift area of data protection model. So this creates even more complexity. Now, the trick here is as customers are moving these databases to the cloud, doing what's called rehosting, how are you going to protect those databases? So the answer typically is that while they could take their existing backup software and put that in the cloud, or they can build scripts or some common tools they might have. But either way, what you see here, they're not managing essentially one, but they're managing 2 backup systems, 2 different storage systems, and thinking about those additional long-term retention and security requirements that come along with that as well. So all the challenges that you typically have in a data center now just go up into the cloud, and now you have them there. And sometimes that can work for a short period of time, but typically it doesn't end up being a sustainable way of doing things. And then we look at cloud data protection for databases and how this can help you reduce complexity as well as the costs as you start to migrate these workloads. So here we can see some of the key benefits of using this approach. And I'm going to touch more throughout the session. But the key thing we find with most customers is that they're usually running a combination of these approaches within their organization. So they're looking for new ways to efficiently manage their databases wherever they're hosted. So first up, we're going to take a quick look at Oracle and what we can do there for you. So here at Druva, We offer flexible backup for Oracle that works for your infrastructure. And what makes us unique is our ability to deliver data protection for Oracle on-premises, or Oracle running in the cloud, or even Oracle on Amazon RDS, which we'll come on to later. We bring DBAs, backup and cloud teams together, providing a secure platform that offers them that visibility, control, and the automation that's needed to meet their SLAs. And we help to lower those costs and increase agility. So what we have is we have two RMAN integrated backup methods. So for DBAs who want total control, Druva offers backup to an NFS target called the Phoenix Backup Store. Or for backups, or IT or DBAs who want a more automated approach, Druva also provides the direct-to-cloud approach. And by leveraging these RMAN integrations for whether it's local or direct-to-cloud backup, what it means is you can simplify fast backup and recovery with the efficiency of Druva's cloud storage. And what we mean by this is you can lower your TCO for Oracle backup and recovery. And you do this by being able to reduce infrastructure, storage, and management costs, and eliminating these backup copies you don't need, and using this direct-to-cloud backup, which is also coming with the integrated long-term retention capabilities that we have for you. So that's our quick overview of the sort of Oracle solutions we have. But another question we get on a regular basis is, okay, that's great, but what do you do around the solutions if I want to run Oracle on Amazon EC2, for example? So just to give you a use case, so if you had a database administrator who said, okay, I'm going to start moving my Oracle instance up to AWS because it's a better environment to run, it's more flexible for my compute, and it's going to give me a lot more control, management, and I can scale that more easily. But at this stage, they might not be convinced necessarily they want to go down the RDS route yet. So what they've done is they've decided they want to run their Oracle on EC2, but using EBS as the storage behind it. And this is a reasonable configuration, and it's something we actually see quite often. So as the backup team, you're now faced with the question of, okay, how do we protect that? So you're certainly not going to take the database that you've moved to the cloud and then say, okay, well, we're going to back that up on premises. Now, obviously, you can't put a physical appliance in the cloud, but you can put a virtual appliance or software version of it, and you'll have to manage that as well. So, you've got the compute plus the storage, and then you start to wonder about whether you're really getting the efficiencies you want. And you're needing to do all of that just so you can have an environment that you manage in the same way as that on-premises environment. And again, this still isn't one environment. It's not one management console. You're just trying to have a similarity across the two. So why are you shifting that entire environment up there? Because when you look at the alternative, you've decided your backups all go directly to the cloud. So if you're moving your databases to the cloud, it makes sense to have the protection there as well, because that actually makes things a little bit easier. So when you're using something like Druva, and we provide the direct-to-cloud backup that goes directly into the SaaS service, you've now got an easier, faster network connection to be able to get your backups done. So if you're migrating to the cloud, and instead of it becoming more difficult or data protection becoming a bottleneck, actually everything just becomes a little bit easier. So if you go with that SaaS solution, again, there's no backup infrastructure to manage. You're backing up directly to the service in the cloud. And again, you get the benefits of what we call global source-side deduplication with automatic storage tiering, and that's all part of the service. And these backups, they're already off-site because it's a SaaS service, that's running somewhere else. And you're only paying one cost, which is based on capacity. So no matter how many restores you run, no matter how many backups you run, you're just paying for the data that you store. And the great part is that you really do only have one console to manage what's on premises and what's in the cloud. So you're not running two separate environments, it's just one. So the great thing here is you really can enable your DBAs to start running databases wherever they want and get that simplification of the management process that comes along with it. So just to touch on, again, what we do for SQL in terms of the database backup. So when it comes to Microsoft SQL Server, we offer, again, a complete data protection solution for both hybrid and cloud environments. And what we see here is when you're shifting databases to the cloud with Microsoft SQL Server, it can be complicated and it can be expensive. So this is why customers are looking to us for, again, a more effective way to not only reduce the complexity, but reduce the costs as well. And with a single platform for protecting SQL on premises and SQL that could be running in AWS, organizations can then achieve their data protection SLAs while leveraging the Druva cloud platform for that greater resiliency and the added security that we provide. So again, what we said with Oracle, that it means that when you use this solution, it means that Druva are bringing your DBAs, your backup and cloud teams together, and we're offering them that global sort of visibility, increased control, and added levels of automation to meet these SLAs and increase agility across these teams. And some of the benefits that we see listed here, it includes the ability to unify data protection of SQL on premises and in the cloud. And what that does is it eliminates the data silos that might have existed in the past. And you can see here as well, we also offer sort of fast database aware backup and recovery, where you can scale performance and capacity on demand. And similar to Oracle, you can reduce costs, and you could do that significantly with the global source side deduplication and the integrated long-term retention to the lower cost storage tiers. And when you combine these capabilities, it means that you will lower your TCO of SQL backup and recovery. So now we're going to take a quick look into Amazon RDS and the database engines that you can run here. So I'd imagine you're all fairly familiar with Amazon RDS. So it's essentially a database service that can run any of these common database engines, like you can see on the screen here. But because it's database as a service, what this means is it also offers backup. So you can put it in RDS, so I'll put your database engine in RDS, and it's backed up with what is referred to as automated backups. These are automated daily backups that run within a predetermined 8-hour backup window by AWS. But these all have a maximum of 35-day retention for each of these backups. So if you have strict governance requirements around things like long-term retention, or you need to back up your databases more frequently, you're going to have to look at an alternative to using the native automated service. And the second option you can see here is what's called manual or user-initiated snapshots, which provide much more flexibility. But as soon as you start to have more than a few databases, you're going to start to want some level of automation for doing these manual snapshots. And that's where Druva comes in with a really strong play. And just to touch on some of the use cases we see for switching to these manual RDS snapshots compared to the standard built-in capabilities. So the first one is obviously long-term retention. So anything you do need for longer than 35 days, this is the best use case for you. Secondly, for cross-region and cross-account flexibility. So the benefit that Druva provides here is that not only you can take copies of the backups and move them to secondary regions or accounts within AWS. These backups can then be used as part of your business continuity planning. So you can actually set up automated DR plans to run scheduled tests. When they actually go ahead and spin up these backups in your target DR site, and then what this does is it allows you to go in and spin up these backups to validate if they're working successfully. And if these are spun up, you can then validate the RTO and RPO. So when it comes to that business continuity planning, you know how long things would actually take in a DR situation to get these resources spun up in your target DR site. And then the third point we've got here is just being able to mitigate the risk of database deletion. So if you delete a database that has only been backed up using the automated backup option, there is the risk that all the backups can be deleted along with it if you don't have certain criteria checked within the database backups. This isn't the case with the manual snapshots. So again, it's having that extra security where you know that you've always got the backups available if required. And then finally, the big one here is managing this at scale. So if you want to simplify things with policy-based management, when you're looking to protect a number of Amazon databases across, could be multiple AWS accounts by using things like tags or doing it by region, or you could even back up by VPC. This is where it starts to become really useful, because if you are doing things with sort of tags that are shared across multiple environments, it just makes this a really simple solution to say, okay, I want to create one backup policy that's going to span across all these accounts with shared tags. And it makes it a really simple way for your team to manage and free up resources so they can focus on more value add activity. So the way this works for your AWS databases is all pretty simple, really. First off, all you would do is you would connect up your AWS account via an IAM access role. And this is all done through a CloudFormation template that we provide. So you can do this with the template for individual accounts, or if you're looking to do this to manage multiple AWS accounts, you can use the stack sets option, which allows you to quickly add multiple AWS accounts to manage. And again, once you've got your account set up, we then provide you with out-of-the-box, fully flexible retention options, and you can then use your point-in-time recovery to get entire databases back up and running. So just going to touch on now, and we've covered this in some of the detail, but we want to look a bit more forward-thinking as well and say, why Druva? So we've kind of seen already that protecting databases is one of the hardest things that any of us do in data protection. And as we've discussed, you'll still have the on-premises databases, but you've got more and more application developers who are now using things like RDS, DynamoDB inside of AWS because it's just easy to use. But then, of course, you've still got some of your DBAs who are migrating their databases and running them on EC2. So as we mentioned, you've got that same Oracle environment, but now it's running in the cloud. And then if you want to be more forward-looking, you might have some users who are starting to develop using containerized applications like Kubernetes. So you've now got databases running pretty much everywhere across your environment. So one of the challenges you're going to face, that unless you want to set up 4 different ways of protecting databases in all these different locations, how do you go ahead and consolidate that? How do you bring it all together into one piece? And this is where Druva can really help. So we built the Druva Cloud platform to meet and serve this vision of the future. So what it essentially means is no matter what your data source is, so we've covered databases, but whether it could be endpoints or it could be on-premises data center applications running in the cloud, or even cloud native applications, Druva can go ahead and help you protect them. So with the cloud platform, you can actually start with any of these workloads, and as you continue your cloud journey, you can expand this to everywhere. So we've got customers who are using the Druva Cloud platform to back up every single one of their resources you'll see on the screen here. And again, it's a great solution where you can do the data protection. You've also got data governance, but then you've also got the added value of cyber resilience and the benefits we provide for things like ransomware recovery. But it all comes down to what our customers think as well. So We've got a couple of examples here just from some recent feedback from two of our clients. So the first one here is from Cats Media, and we've also got a quote here from Premier Networks. So with Cats Media, it was great for us to hear that they actually went ahead and reduced the time that they spent managing backups by around 80%. And even better than that, they actually went in and reduced their TCO by 3x compared to what they were doing with their traditional and HCI solutions. And you can see there that they also, during this period, managed to migrate 52 workloads to the cloud in just 3 months. So the benefits are there for everyone to see. And in terms of Premier Networks, what they found when they were testing the speeds of their SQL database backup and restores with us was that it was actually 30% faster to do this with their previous on-premises solution. And if you're looking to find a bit more detail on any of these particular case studies or any of the other customer case studies we have, there's a number in the resources section on the druva.com website. So if you want to get some more detail, you can head across there after the session. But if anyone is looking to get a bit more information about any of the Druva solutions that we provide, again, you can head over to druva.com for more information. We've got a lot of great additional content there that you can download, things like white papers, ebooks, data sheets, solution briefs, etc. But if you want to take a deeper dive and you would like to attend a demo with some of our technical team, or you can register for a 14-day free trial, you can use the links here in the deck, which will be provided after the session. And finally, if you would like to deploy any of the Druva solutions via the AWS Marketplace, the link's here as well. So you can actually go ahead and get things set up quickly and easily.
All right, great presentation. Thank you so much, Stephen. I really appreciate that. I've just brought up the next step slide here for everyone out there. I want to call your attention to the demo link there, druva.com/getdemo, as well as try Druva. The free trial link is there as well. And of course, you can also download Druva in the AWS Marketplace. So I'll leave that up for everyone to check out while we take your questions. Stephen, you ready for some Q&A?
I am indeed. Yeah, and like I say, if there's any questions, if we can't get to them all, we can answer some offline as well. So.
Absolutely, yeah. Lots of good questions rolling in. Thank you, everyone, for your questions. Let's see where to start.
Just looking at one of the first ones here, we've got somebody who's worried about the performance of cloud backup. So, good question. But what we do at Druva is we use source side deduplication and what we call incremental forever technology. And what this does is it tries to reduce the WAN and storage consumption that you're going to have. So that helps with the performance. But we can also meet things like 15-minute RPOs if that's what you're looking for. And we do also offer what's called a local cache if people are worried about bandwidth or they think that RTOs can't be met from the cloud. So that's something that's available as well.
Excellent. Stephen, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Awesome. Yeah, let's see. Another question that came in, and feel free to, like you said, speak up if there's any of these that catch your eye. There's a lot of great questions coming in.
Yeah.
Did you already answer the question about support for backup on Oracle Cloud and Azure?
Yeah, it's something that there's certain workarounds we can do with it. I mean, what we do usually is backing up everything to sort of the Druva cloud that's obviously running on AWS. What I can do is I'll reach out to the guys to see what the workaround for this is, but at the moment it's not there. But we can see if there's anything we can do for you.
Got it. Okay. And then there was a question here about Oracle. I would call it granular recovery instead of just restoring the entire database. What about restoring a table or something like that?
Yeah, so there's options available there as well to do things like synthetic fills. You could do log backups, and users can recover to any point in time. So there is that granular capabilities available from the platform. What we say usually is the best thing to do is actually get set up with a POC. And what we can do is we can work with you guys to say, okay, what is your requirements? What is it you're looking to do in terms of that granular recovery? And then based on the sort of setup you want to do, whether it's that direct to cloud or whether it's the agent-based approach, we can work through with our technical team to make sure we can do the POC to show you that recovery process and working for your environment.
Excellent. I like this question from Jagar, I guess is how you say it. What about when the backup is occurring? Is there any sort of database performance degradation during the backup window?
There shouldn't be, and if you're doing it, it depends on the option, I suppose, you're choosing. Like I mentioned earlier, if you're worried about sort of bandwidth, we can do what's called the local cache as well. So there is the option there for maybe quicker backups if you want to do it that way. But there shouldn't be too much impact on the databases as you're doing that.
Nice. And then what about just the...
Here's a question. It's an interesting question there.
Yeah.
Sorry, just one about have we seen significant increase in sales after the attack on oil and gas? So that's a great question. And again, the sales are coming through, and there's certainly been a significant increase in demand, and that's what you start to see with. It's like we always say, it's like when people buy insurance. The best time to buy insurance is obviously when something's happened to somebody, and especially if you're in that specific industry and you see it's happened to somebody else, you don't want to be in that position. So one of the big benefits of the Druva solution is the fact that if it's something you're thinking about or you're looking to explore, you can get set up really quickly. And again, because it's a SaaS-based solution, you can go ahead and say, right, I want to set up a POC. That request goes through to our team. We can get the environment set up for you and have that POC spun up very quickly. And you can have your environment linked to that and start basically doing your backups within a day or so. And if that's something you're looking to get done, like say that the free trial link's there, we do have sort of members of our team that are kind of specialists in this area, especially in these particular industries. So if it is something you're interested in, please feel free to reach out to us.
Absolutely. What about agents? Are agents required to do any sort of backup? Is a question from Stan.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, that there's two options that we have. So there's you can do the agent-based approach, which we have, which is called the Phoenix Backup Store, which is the option we have for the agent-based approach. But we also have what's called the direct to cloud option as well, where that's the agentless solution that we have for Oracle. If you're looking to use things like RDS, so if you have an AWS account and you're running Amazon RDS within that account, there's no agents required for that. So what we do there is we just connect up through the IAM access roles, which is all done through a CloudFormation script. And again, that just gives us the option to carry out these jobs on your behalf. So if you're running any sort of database engine that we mentioned earlier, so again, things like Oracle, MySQL, could be Aurora as well, you can run all your backups there. And again, you can combine these in a single backup policy. So it's really, really simple to use.
Excellent. What about immutability? I mean, protecting the backup data from ransomware. Stan is asking about, is there a way to air gap the backup data?
That's a good question, and it's something that's coming up an awful lot. So ransomware is obviously something that's front of mind for everyone. And the good thing with Druva is obviously that the way we're architected is essentially it's almost designed for ransomware. So it's because we're taking that data and we're backing it up offsite onto the cloud, which is built on AWS, which is what we're running. In terms of our sort of security accreditations, I mean, I can share some information on that after the call as well. But obviously, we piggyback on the AWS security accreditations as well. But we have some of the highest sort of security capabilities within the industry with the Druva Cloud platform, and with that sort of our air gap backups, which again are on the Druva Cloud on S3. I mean, that's a really secure network for your backups. Again, everything's encrypted at rest and in flight. So there's that built-in ransomware protection for you. And again, it's taken. It could be, you can do cross-region. You can also do cross-account as well, which is something we can do on the AWS side. So what we find for companies who are looking for security, you might want to say, okay, put it in a different account. But if you're maybe looking for a business continuity point of view for, say, a region went down within AWS, which is unlikely, but again, it's something you want to be prepared for if that scenario ever did happen. You can copy these backups across to these secondary DR regions that you might want to create, and again, that's protecting you from various things like again, accidental deletion, malicious intent as well. So that's the options that we have for you.
Nice.
That's a good question.
Yeah, and what about, there's a question here, does the DBA team have to quiesce the database in terms of preserving the application consistency?
That's a good question. So we do have that option available for if you're doing things like Windows servers. You can do sort of like VSS scripts with that as well. So if you run it on Windows machines, that option is available. Again, we allow the DBAs to use the platform in a way that's going to suit their environment. So I think what we find in many cases is some guys might have scripts and see if, okay, can I run any of these against these backups whilst I'm doing it? So again, what we would advise is to try and speak to our teams to say, okay, what's your current environment setup? What are you looking to do here? And once we get our Oracle guys or any of the teams that are working with the databases, we can find out a bit more about your exact environment and say, okay, this is going to be the best way for you to do this, whether it's an agent-based approach where we can bring this and allow you to do that, or whether you want to do that direct to cloud approach.
Excellent. And then what about consolidated backup status reporting across, multiple backup locations, for example, on-prem and in the cloud? Can I see what's happening there all in one place?
Again, that's a great question. And what we have at the moment, we've got various reporting tools available within the platform. So within the Druva platform itself, you can go in and manage all these individual workloads, and you can get the reports based on that. But what we're looking to bring in is the idea of that global visibility, which is going to give you this exact report. So it's going to allow you to say, okay, I want to go in and see what's the reports for my cloud DBs, what's the report for my on-premise DBs, and again, consolidating all that data in a single report that you can just share with your senior management team or your line managers. That's going to be coming into the solution soon, so we can keep you posted on that when it's available.
Very nice. What about local recovery of Oracle databases?
So again, that's something that's going to be available with our what we call a cloud cache. So again, that's going to be able allow you to keep a backup of that on the cache, which allows you to keep it locally, and you can bring it back from there as well. So I believe there's a limitation in terms of how long that's kept within the cloud cache, but that's going to be the option available for you there. There's a good question I've seen here around security team. So again, this all comes back to data security as well. So question here is just around the security team prefers that all data remains in the borders of the USA, and can that be guaranteed? So it's a great question, and it's one of the benefits of our solution being built on AWS. So you can choose where you want to back up that data within the AWS global infrastructure. So if you do have requirements that the data can't leave the US, or specifically it could be even within a particular region, that option's available. So whenever you're looking to set up your POC environment with us, you can say, okay, one of the questions will be, where would you like this data to be backed up within the AWS infrastructure? So if you are on the East Coast, you might want to choose one of the US East regions, or if you're on the West Coast, again, likewise with the US West. But if there's a case where you're a sort of global organization, you do have the option to back up in multiple different sources. So if you had a team based in Europe, you want to say, okay, we want to make sure that data doesn't leave Europe, you can choose that option as well to back up for those particular resources. So it gives you that flexibility to meet the data compliance and residency rules.
Excellent. Well, I know we're trying to keep this webinar relatively short. There's a lot of great questions that we probably aren't going to have time to get to all of them on the live event. But Stephen, unless there's any other questions that you wanted to respond to here, we can go ahead and wrap up the event.
Yeah, I'm just taking a quick look through. Like I say, if there are any questions we don't get to just now, we can get back to you offline. Just see one other question there. What was the biggest challenges you faced to implement your solution? And again, it's a good question. And what I would say is we've designed this solution
to make sure that you're not going to face challenges. It's a SaaS-based solution because it's delivered as a service, and what we have as well is with our tool, you do get 24/7 technical support as well. So that additional support makes it easy to integrate. Well, again, it's been designed to make it easy to use, but if there is any challenges you do face, our support team are there 24/7 to help you in any way they can. But it's been designed to be an easy to use UI. You don't have to be an expert in whatever the workload you're using. It's been designed to try and simplify that whole process to take away the pain points that you're facing. That's going to allow you to automate a lot of this process and focus your time on what's going to help to add value to your business. So if we can automate as much of this or the backup and recovery process for you, that's great.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm afraid that's all the time we have in our Q&A, but I learned a lot about what Druva is doing around protecting critical databases across hybrid and cloud. And Stephen, it's been great having you on the event today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, David.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you to everyone out there in the audience for joining us on the webinar today. Don't forget about the handouts tab. It's there that you'll find the ESG report on how to enhance AWS workload protection with third-party and cloud backup solutions. Also, resources there on protecting Microsoft SQL Server and the DBAs guide to Oracle data protection. Make sure that you download those resources before you go. And also check out the link there to druva.com. It's there that you can sign up for the free trial of Druva and check it out for yourself. Before we go, I want to announce the winner of our Amazon $300 gift card. This is going out to Josh Thayer from Pennsylvania. Congratulations, Josh Thayer from Pennsylvania. We'll reach out to our best question prize winner as well after the event. Thanks everyone for supporting today's webinar. I hope that you learned a lot and have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.